I think we just heard an angel sing. That was awesome. I want to thank you again for coming out because, when you make a commitment to go somewhere, life can be filled with interruptions, and especially when you're trying to get to church, the enemy knows if he can throw things your way and throw a wrench in it, that maybe he can get you to miss out. So I want to thank you, whatever your obstacles were today. You made it to church tonight, so good job. Speaking of interruptions, life is filled with interruptions. And if you are a type A personality that wants to have it all in control, that can really get on your nerves after a while because you have your to-do list. But while it's frustrating and we don't like them, God will use interruptions in our life to develop us and to push us towards our destiny. Even when Jesus came to earth, if anybody was to have a to-do list in a short amount of time that needed to get things completed, I would say he had the right to have his to-do list. But when I read through the Bible, there's story after story after story of him getting interrupted on his way to go somewhere. But at one point, there was a man who, while he was trying to preach, would call out in the crowd, and the man was demon-possessed. And Jesus, rather than having the security guard send him away, Jesus cast the demon out, and then he went about his business. Another time when he was teaching outside of a temple, in the middle of his teachings, they threw a lady in the middle of it, and she fell at his feet, and she had been caught in adultery. And he had to settle an issue. And then he went on preaching. He actually had a double interruption one time. He was on his way, and a gentleman stopped him, and with a heartbroken crack in his voice and tears in his eyes, he said, my daughter doesn't have long, and I need you to come. Jesus turned to start to go, but then he was interrupted again by a lady who had an issue of blood. And he took care of those interruptions with grace and forgiveness. See, when the man interrupted that was demon-possessed, his message was deliverance. When the man came with a daughter that was sick, his message was healing. When the lady was thrown at his feet while she committed adultery, his message was grace. Every interruption that he had a divine purpose and a divine message to it. So before I go further in my message tonight, I actually want to read in my text about the story that we're going to be talking about tonight, and it involves two sisters with an interruption in their life. And that's found in the book of Luke, chapter 10. And I'm going to read 38 through 42. It says, now it happened as they went, they entered a certain village, and we're talking about Jesus and his disciples. And a certain woman named Martha welcomed him into her house. And she had a sister called Mary who also sat at Jesus' feet and heard his word. But Martha was distracted with much serving, and as she approached him and said, Lord, do you not care that my sister has left me to serve alone? Therefore tell her to help me. And Jesus answered and said to her, Martha, Martha, you are worried and troubled about many things, but one thing is needed, and Mary has chosen the good part, which will not be taken away from her. So it says that as they were coming into this village, Jesus kind of made a little detour. He decided to show up at Mary and Martha's house. See, these were friends of his, and they had a famous brother that we hear about often, Lazarus. And Jesus had haters, followers, fans, and then he had friends. And this group was his friends. And it doesn't just say that he stopped. He says they stopped. So him and his 12 closest buddies, the disciples, to stop at Martha's house. Now, I don't know about you, but when I go grocery shopping, I take into account who lives in my house. And maybe enough for one extra should something happen. I don't shop for an extra 13 men, no less, that have been traveling and are hungry. And so this can, if you're a type A personality and you have your to-do list and you've made your grocery list every week, that wasn't on the grocery list. But in those days when somebody would show up to your house and they were your host, how you took care of them and how you honored and reverenced them was a real big deal. In the Bible days, if there was a stranger in town and you would let them into your house and you were going to be the host that night, the law was if somebody would come into your house to attack, you would lay down your life to protect your guest. It was a big deal when you let people into your house, and how you took care of them really mattered. It says that, reading about Martha, that it was Martha's house. So Martha was the oldest. Martha had responsibilities on her shoulders. And I'm sure that Martha kept everything running correctly. It's good to have Marthas in our life. Marthas are the reason that our utilities aren't shut off because they get paid on time. Marthas are the reason that we have food in the cupboard and food in the refrigerator. Marthas are the reasons that we have clean clothes. And Martha has kind of got a bad rap because Martha was busy doing what Martha does best. But we're going to learn from Martha's story why Jesus said that Mary had chosen the better thing. Now, we don't know a lot about Mary, but we know that she was the younger sister. And I think if you have a Martha in the house, Mary is going to be trained up correctly. I don't know where the parents went, and I don't know how long Martha had to be in charge. But Martha knew if something was going to get done, she needed to initiate it. But Mary was the one that would help her. And so I would imagine the story would go something along the lines that when Jesus and his rowdy, loud bunch would show up, she probably sent Mary in there to greet the guest. Mary, you go greet the guest, and I'll start here in the kitchen. I got to get things ready. We have to do a big spread. I need to get the best dishes that we have because this is Jesus. I got to make sure that everything is just right. I have to set the table just right. Get out the vase. I got to get the good flowers. So she's all about getting things ready to serve them. Servanthood was part of Martha's upbringing, I believe, because it was in her personality to make sure that everything was done right. That means that you are not only just a people pleaser, but you're going to take in charge. You're used to hard work. And Mary doesn't show back up. Martha's busy doing what she's going to do, probably wiping the sweat from her brow, thinking, where is my sister? Where is my sister? But I can't leave what's cooking right now to go check on her. Where is my sister? And she hears talking and laughter in the other room. And she thinks, well, any minute, she knows better, any minute, surely she will not leave me to have to fix all this food. She knows how much work goes into all of this. Mary has to get things done, and Martha is in control. And if you are a Martha-type personality, you don't have to wear a dress to be a Martha. There's plenty of guy Marthas too. This pandemic has really rocked your world because you're not in control. And you don't have your normal routine, and things aren't going about at a certain time, and you don't know when it will be over. And so Marthas are extremely upset about what we're going through right now. And Mary, she is going to beat her when Jesus leaves. They are going to have a talking to, a come to Jesus, if you will, conversation, because she can't leave everything that's going on in the kitchen at this point. And it just continues and continues. And finally, she's like, that's it. I've had it. I've had enough. Probably wiped the flour off of her hand, probably had the spoon still in her hands, and went and she did the hands on the hip and the spoon in the air, and that was business. She probably, if she was like me, she raised an eyebrow. If you raise an eyebrow, it's a double business. And here is Mary sitting at the feet of Jesus. That should have been a showstopper. But sometimes we get so busy serving that we don't stop to receive. We get so busy doing his works and filling our to-do schedule that eventually we're going to burn out because we haven't stopped and sat at the feet of Jesus. See, it's good to have Martha hands, but you need a Mary heart. It's good to have the get up and go of Martha, but it's important to have the slow down and stop of Mary. See, here's what was important about her sitting at the feet of Jesus. Now we just think, well, that's really odd. Maybe they ran out of chairs or there wasn't enough room. No. Jesus was a teacher, so they called him rabbi. And when you got an education, they would say they sat at the feet of. So when Jesus would get ready to teach, he wouldn't stand behind a podium. He would sit. And this was the cue for everybody that was a student, a disciple of his, which a disciple is a follower of Christ. They knew to sit. And it was kind of coined as sitting at the feet. But she literally, truly was sitting right at the feet of Jesus. Had Martha not been so caught up with her distractions of the things to do, she would have noticed that this was a monumental moment in history. Why? This was grace in action. A woman was not allowed to learn how to read. She wasn't allowed to have an opinion. And she most certainly was not allowed to sit at the feet of a rabbi. This had never happened before in history. So I don't know what happened in that room because the Bible doesn't tell us. But from Mary's point of view, she probably went to greet them, and as any good hostess should do, or a woman, they know to leave the room so that the men can talk. They are to be in the kitchen, serving. But I think as Mary turned to walk away, perhaps Jesus said her name. Oh, I just about walked off the screen. I will come back. Maybe I'm walking into the other room. But as she turned to walk away, I believe that he said her name. She probably thought, what do you need, Jesus? Do you need some water? What is it that I can get you? And he made room for her at his feet. That is a place of honor. No other disciple was sitting there. How do you say no to that? You should never say no to that. Yeah, there's responsibilities, but when Jesus calls your name and says, sit at my feet, let the water boil over. Let the macaroni and cheese burn. Because you're choosing the best thing. The things that he was telling her and pouring his heart out to her, don't you know, her heart was overwhelmed. I am sitting at the feet of Jesus, not in the back of the room, trying to eavesdrop if I could from the kitchen. No, I have a place of honor at his feet. And if Martha wasn't so busy with her to-do list of serving, she would have realized what a moment this was. But she didn't realize it, and I'll tell you why, because she says, as we read in the scriptures, don't you care? Don't you care? I am working my fingers to the bone, and don't you care? See, that's what happens with Martha personality or type A personalities. When they can't control what's going on and it's not making any sense, they feel betrayed by God. They say, "Don't you care?" God cares. But see, she wants him to care in this situation. Here's how upset she was. I would imagine, like the cartoons, the steam coming out of the ears, because she said she is in, get this, she is in the presence of Jesus, the helper, the one that can fix it all. And she says, "Tell Mary I need her to help me." I'm really sorry. I love all you guys. But if Jesus is there, I'm not going to count on you for help. In fact, I don't even want your help. I want my Savior's help. But Martha is, tell her to help me. Tell her that I need some help. See, Martha had a full schedule. Mary had a full heart. Martha was a type A personality. Mary was a type B personality. Martha's like performance and perfection, and Mary's like to sit at the feet of Jesus. So you want the best combination? You have Martha's hands, Mary's hearts. You be both. Martha was so concerned with getting the list done, being the good hostess, that she couldn't embrace this interruption. Martha was questioning, "Don't you care? Don't you care?" When things are out of control for us, it will cause us, if we're not careful, to say, "God, don't you care?" But we have to ask ourselves, are we being a Martha in that moment? Jesus wants to give her help, but Martha just wants the help of Jesus. See, Jesus is your help for any situation. When you need help, don't run to your brother or sister. Run to Jesus first. Say, "Lord, I need some help." If Martha had calmed down and thought about it, she would have said, "Lord, I need some help." So you know those fishes and those loaves that you multiplied? Well, I have a setting for 13 in there, and I need you to do your stuff. My bread's not finished baking yet. I have a loaf here. I need you to touch this bread, and I need you to break it, so we'll have plenty of left over. See, she forgot who Jesus was and what was available because she was too busy doing her good works. It is so important to take time in our life because, see, what Mary was doing is Mary was getting strength to continue to do her good works. And Martha was wore out. They were both wanting to do good works. Mary would succeed where Martha would get upset. It's so important for us to stop and rest at his feet, especially when the situation gets out of control. Especially when your to-do list is getting longer and longer by the moment. Because what's going to happen is you're going to end up snapping at people, losing your temper, getting upset, doing a halfway job because you're too stressed out and you're juggling too many plates all at once, trying to serve and trying to do everything that you need to do. You need to stop for just a moment, and you need to rest. The devil will wear you out doing good works. Oh, there's a meeting here and a meeting there, and this person needs you over here, and then there's a drive over here for food, and there's this car wash over here that we're raising the money for the poor orphans, and we need to go down to Humane Society and help out there. And then what happens? You are ragged at the end of it, and then you're like, "I'm done. I can't do another thing." Well, that was Martha doing the good works. But you need to be a Mary. Do the good works. But see, you can't do the good works first and then ask God to fill you up. It doesn't work that way. You have to sit at his feet first. Let him pour into you. Let him lead you. Let him give you his peace, his comfort. And then you'll have something to work with. Then you'll have a tank that's not half empty. You'll have a tank that's full. And then it can overflow into those works. And then you can really make a difference. See, you can be moving all day long and actually not gain any ground and not go anywhere. You can run in place all day long and you're moving and you're running, but you're not going anywhere. And that's what can happen to us if we're not careful. Yes, it's good to serve, but it's also good to sit at his feet. So before you take on another to-do, another good opportunity, another servanthood, stop and ask yourself, have I sat at his feet? Have I just let him wrap his arms around me? Have I told him about what's been going on and let him wipe away the tears if need be? Have I just leaned back and rested in his presence? Oh, 5 minutes resting in Jesus' presence will let you go for a week on that high. But we go about it wrong. See, we need Marthas. Martha got a bad rap. We need Marthas in this world. But we also need Marys in this world. And if you're going to be the best, you need to sit at his feet. Jesus said that Mary had chosen the good place. So if I could go back in time, if I was there with Martha helping out in the kitchen, and I saw what was going on, I'd say, hey girl, let's let that rest. I know they're hungry. And if they're hungry enough, then they can help us later, but this needs to wait. There's something really good going on in there. So, of all times, with the pandemic going on and us trying to make such a difference, it's very important that we learn how to rest in his presence and to sit at his feet. To sit at his feet so that you can lean upon him, but to sit at his feet so that you can learn. Don't let us be so preoccupied doing for him that we miss our time with him. That we get so distracted trying to go where we're going that we don't see history in the making. Don't confuse movement with progress. And you might be doing a lot more, but that doesn't mean you're getting a lot more done. Let God fill you up. So before we go into this next week of goodness knows what, and I'm sure there'll be interruptions daily, if not hourly, in our lives, let's take this moment to lay down the to-do list, to lay down the struggles of the week, the questions, anxiety that we have. Let's lay it down, and let's just sit at his feet for a little bit. Let's say, God, I need you and I need your help. And if I'm going to be the best for you, then I need my time with you. I need you to fill me up. I can't go off of my grandma, my grandpa's religion. I can't go off my spouse's religion. I need you. I need private time with you. So tonight in these closing moments, why don't you just sit? Why don't you just sit and close your eyes and rest on the one that won't let you down? Lean on the one that has all the answers. Quit trying to figure it out so much. Just rest. Talk to him about your hurts, your disappointments. But stay there so that you can learn from him. Stay at his feet. That's a place of honor. Not everybody sits there, but Jesus is calling to you and I tonight to come and sit at his feet, to come and let him fill you up, to let his peace run over onto you, to show you his grace, his mercy. Quit trying so hard. Quit trying to figure it all out and get so many things done. Just rest. Let him fill you up and just sit at his feet. God bless you.